right, welcome back to The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread podcast. I'm Eli.
And I'm Ben. This is big episode 49, the sixth issue of Devil. What's it called? Devil's Legacy.
Devil's Legacy.
Christine Spar. Wowie, wow. Eli.
Pretty amazing. What an amazing issue. We're getting into it again. We're comparing the two colorized versions, Kamiko and Dark Horse. But before we get too into it and comment about Ben's tiny coffee glass, let's talk about what you did this week, bud.
I'm actually Bob Shrek Gretsch sized.
Ah, I see. And I'm a
Just a
TV
normal-
man. These are the same cups, same size.
I have, I looked it up. I have 3 inches on Jack Kirby.
Nice.
So I am not Gretsch sized.
All right.
Yeah, it was a good week. I made comics all week. I toned, I think, 15 or so pages of, what's the book called? Arcane. Bill
Looking
Philippek
great.
and Mac Radowski. It's going to be awesome. Images here. Pew, pew, pew. Very cool. Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of a learning curve as I kind of like find which brush I like to use the most for like what lighting effect, but I think I finally settled in about 2/3 the way into the second issue.
Yeah, you're really getting into like a bunch more effects too, like these cloudy panel borders and shadowing and leaves, and the stuff is really looking awesome.
Thanks. So we can't wait to roll it out in a monthly book, maybe late summer or something like that. Should be good. I'm very pleased that Cosmic Line will be handling that. And then it was a week ago today that I did my interview with Brian Talbot. All the way, I called all the way over to Greenwich Mean Time in Sunderland in the UK, and we talked all things Luther Arkwright and Underground Comics and Sam Peckinpah and
That's
Michael
so
Moorcock, all kinds of stuff. And I was feeling really good about it. And then I looped back with Daniel Moeller yesterday, and he told me about his Rick Veitch interview for Wizard 2.
Right.
And it sounds like it is maybe one of the best Rick Veitch interviews of all time. He was just like,
because Moeller like really knows his kind of like psychedelic, his his out of body visions. Like, it's pretty cool. I'm excited to see the like angle he takes.
They went deep. Enough about my week, Eli. You had one of, I think, as a impresario, it might have been one of your biggest weeks ever. A week
pretty
that you were
big.
building up to for at least a year. Tell us.
That's right. Well, the ins and outs, and I've been talking about it on the cast here every week, basically. Image Grand Design, the creator book, the print version came out for the creators and for the people in our artist association. And so those people got a book. It's the flip book. And then we also rolled out the digital comic version of Image Grand Design first, and then we'll be doing Image Grand Disaster in a month. Now, Cartoonist Kayfabe, we did it with that group, and they rolled out their video on the 20th, 420, bro. Killer released that day. That video almost has 8,000 videos on it, more than the Wizard video before it, which was like the other huge release day for me within this new group. So we had that day. It was humongous. I was booked on 5 different podcasts that day. And I did the unthinkable yesterday, where I did 3 different podcasts, not including the 5-minute silent podcast I did while trying to figure out the connection between Zoom and Facebook, which was very embarrassing. Thank you for messaging me, Ben, and telling me that I was picking my cheek and biting my cheek on Facebook for 5 minutes.
You were just clearly working because you were making faces that we've never seen. And it was like the Truman Show. And I screen capped it and sent it to you.
You did.
Don't be embarrassed. Nothing happened.
Right.
And you look up and you go, what the fuck? It just cuts right out.
Because I got the message from you. Because Facebook changed something in that 1 week span where I like did it perfectly for Mark Darden. I'm doing these like small press spotlights on these different creators. So last week we did Mark Darden. It worked perfectly. Zoom to Facebook. And then this week I couldn't do it, and I was 10 minutes late, and I had the whole day like regimented, like here's 30 minutes for this podcast. I have an hour to hang with Shay, and then here's the next podcast. which was called The Marvelites, where we covered Fantastic Four issue 10. So I did that for an hour, and then I had about 5 minutes there, and then we went in to do this like Ween podcast. So it was like such a packed day. Anyway, back to Image Grand Design. We released the digital comic after the Cartoonist Kayfabe video, which was glowing. They loved it. I mean, to be a creator and just one day spout off a crazy idea, and then less than a year later to have this insanely amazing book, 50 creators from all across the world doing this thing. We have now sold enough ebooks that we've raised more than $1,000 for the Hero Initiative from the ebook, which is insane and super cool. So, and hopefully with Apple, where I work, they have a matching donation thing. So hopefully I'll be able to submit the donation through Apple and they'll double it.
That's great.
So that's huge. So that's been a huge day. Image Grand Design is finally wrapped. Any orders that came through the APA are done. They're out. And, it's been put to bed. We're having a wrap party tonight. And so I'm super excited to kind of like put it to bed and then move forward to the next big thing. I've also been asked by our friends Rick and Craig and Burgess. They have a Next Panel Press webtoon bi-weekly strip. And they asked me to fill in for Burgess, who broke his drawing hand. But then I guess after seeing my pitch, they were like, do you just want to stay on? And so now I'm hoping to do about 4 panels, Sunday strip every 2 weeks, which is the citizens of Elonia, a brand new planet I created, Elonia, with hilarious creatures of all shapes and sizes, including 4 dastardly jellyfish called the Mad Jellies, a cigarette smoking alien called Siggy, and a cat snake. He's part cat, part snake, all mischief. And a few other characters that I'll be creating in the meantime. So I'm super excited to get into that. But right now, I think it's time to start Adrenaline.
Gremlin.
Hit me with that intro, Ben, and let's hit it up.
Yeah. Vivat Grenoff.
It's like the devil is my best friend. On the roads with the pen to the fork end, or till time end. Like Orion, Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right, we're back. Thanks again, Manus and Laserdisc. So glad you did that amazing theme. Again, I was on that Ween podcast I was talking about yesterday with Manus and Laserdisc, talking about this Ween song that we did. It's cool to hang out with those guys. They're awesome. Great musicians, so it's cool. We start here, Challenge the Devil. Immediately, the first thing you see is Anastasia here. No, sorry. Yeah, Miss Anastasia, Jin. But
Miss Anastasia.
Yeah. There's like, I don't know. I love you, Panders. Shout out, Panders. You're great. Where her knees are not in the right spot, and her jacket is just, the jackets in this issue are so big.
That's the 80s, baby.
God, they're so, well, these knees, the knees should be like midway in the dress, I think.
Yeah.
But they're like little knocky knees poking out the bottom. It's hilarious.
I am I live in a glass house of anatomical skill, so I am never one to knock anyone's anatomy.
Respect. I take that back. I agree. I'm not the
it's
best,
fine.
but...
Panders, what were you thinking 30 years ago?
No.
My God. The 2 color treatments are really interesting. The one thing that Tom Vincent does is he casts the lattice work over her. And when I was doing the Arcane pages this week, there's a scene that takes place like in the morning, like in a cemetery, and I was putting dappled leaf shadows over people.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's like an effect that I've wanted to do for a long time and never had the nerve to do it. And there's a few points where I feel like I pulled it off. And I think one of the things that Tom Vincent does here so well is that Jay Geldof inks the window frames nice and straight, and then Tom Vincent like really models it over it.
Yeah.
I feel like that was something that Brennan was talking about a few times in the Shadow book, where he was maybe with like Venetian blinds, where it's like, oh, I have to put what am I not going to put the blinds over this? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's interesting too that the shadow kind of comes over the title box here, but then again, like the title box is in a certain place where it obscures kind of like where, like I said, oh, this jacket looks insane, but like in the Dark Horse, you see that this is just a swoop around, you know. But with the title box there, it looks like it's like a turtle shell coming out or something like that, you know.
Well, it does, because you can see the curve of her thighs and almost her hips, and it's just like it's like she's wearing a turtle backpack.
Yeah, it's cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of what's really crazy. What Jeremy Cox gets is the pink of her purse.
Oh, interesting.
Didn't even notice she was holding one.
Right. Yeah, that's a nice like pop of color. They were probably like, we need to bring this out.
Yeah. It's really a shot for shot who's getting the upper hand. It's pretty even here. You know?
And I love the way these two dudes in the background are just kind of like spotted, you know, like just the eyes, just the thing, like, and they didn't change that at all. And that's because the Panders, I mean, it's very pop. It's very like 80s fashion kind of silhouette.
So there's an element of the story that has been introduced and developed, but maybe not as developed as it could be, given how important it is. And that's like what the police have become. Right. And when we see these guys wearing their like guile berets or whatever it is, baseball hats, like that's how we know that these are the C.O.P dudes.
Right. And, like planting the seeds for what the like cops will become.
The completely corrupt corporate authoritarian riot gear police, complete with the guy calling the shots is an immortal werewolf, and his number 2 is this spiky haired cyborg. Okay, great.
Wiggins.
This is the reveal of Wiggins's cybernetic eye, I believe. I'm not sure.
And we really get the big like the first time we're really seeing Argent for more than one panel, more than just like a quick little aside. Here he's really starting to grill Jin. So on the next page, he's really being like, what do you know? He's grilling, like, where is she? You know, like we've already talked to you twice, Miss Anastasi. And she's like, yeah, they freaking have. They bother me at my house at all times of night. So she is none too happy about the police intrusion.
This is one of my favorite pages in the book because of the beautiful rhythms that are created, especially with like the close up on her eyes, and then cutting feet, eyes, Wiggins, eyes, wide over the shoulder, Argent, eyes, return to that last shot, but the camera raises up just a little bit. You can see.
I know. It's so cool, man. Yeah. Like, this is the Zappa that we're always talking about, man. My hair, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, you
vain
look
enough
tremendous.
to wonder.
What I really thought was cool was in the final one of Ginny.
Yeah.
Of the ECU. She looks quite relaxed. She's for a moment she's like, I gotta, like, what am I gonna do? Argue with this guy? Bullshit this guy?
This is the first time that I feel like we're seeing her like with a spine, with any grit, with more than just her like ditzy 80s, person.
Right. Sure. We've talked about it before, but this is the only person that Christine has.
For real.
This is the only person in her life. And
that she really has, because her relationship with Brian Lee Sung is not really there yet. It's strained. And at this point, it's not trusting at all.
Yeah. There's
both took a nice sip of our beverage.
Argent, she shows that spine, and Argent freaks the fuck out.
Oh my God, he rears.
We've talked about the glowing eyes,
right.
I'm sure. It's okay. All right.
I mean, it really works here on page 3 now. It really works in the shadowy panels.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
then it's almost like his eyes are reflecting in her her earring here, panel 3, in the Dark Horse in Jeremy Cox. But it's like,
oh, that's cool.
oh man, but aren't you spunky, Miss Anastasi? Take care. That could prove dangerous.
My thought when I was reading this was a lot of it was that there is another Christine Spar story that takes place before this, that deals with Peter and his death, the research and release of the book,
right,
and also like Argent and the police.
And he must have been keeping tabs on her this whole time. Like he's always had a tab on her and Stacy, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a point later on in this issue where they're on the phone, the two women are on the phone together, and Christine says, "No, I never met him."
Right.
He's reclusive, and he only meets you if you're part of this investigation, apparently. Right. Which I thought was interesting that he had never met her, that they'd never.
Well, he's not able to be like, out jumping from rooftops and in the shadows, like watching her, like I'm sure he wishes he would be, which is why I'm sure he helped the cops build a stronger team to like be his eyes and ears or whatever, to like not only surveil Andy, any type of ghrelin that's been going on or any type of crime or so.
Yeah. I just feel like his handling here begs for more to show how this scenario has been arrived at, because it's there's a lot of things in this book that are a little too matter of fact, without being like established in a way where they can pay off, I think, the way they're supposed to.
Agreed.
This last tier is really cool.
So good.
I mean, and the one thing that I like about this book is that when these long conversation scenes occur, when the layouts kind of settle down and aren't super crazy, it's much easier to take in the content of the conversation.
For sure.
Well,
and then it's also the craziness in the panels lends to when the heightened activity in the conversation, like here's Argent like getting pissed and he's breaking a bunch of stuff, and she's also breaking to make it like, to make that they're like face to face, that there's like the action being pushed between them.
Yeah. I also really like, these first 3 panels, that 1 and 3 on Ginny, it's a very similar camera angle,
right?
Except for the shot, the size of the panel, and then the panel break really helps emphasize how taken aback she is.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So
now
he grills her on Andrew's favorite, which is a code word that Christine used when they were on the phone on the Blade Runner payphone in the last issue.
Oh, I forgot about it.
I'm staying at Andrew's favorite. What's Andrew's favorite? I don't know.
Weird. And I didn't make that connection.
It is an incredibly subtle clue that is then explained in 3 pages. So don't worry about it.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's anyway.
But then he's like, as much as I expected, he's just like, take her away, get her out of my damn sight. No. Get the bitch out of here. Yeah, the use of bitch in this comic is amazing. There's so much bitch.
Yeah, there's a lot of places in this series where it's like super edgy, and I'd say this is kind of edgelordy.
Yeah. He's an edgelord.
He's an asshole. I just want more of him, The one thing that was
go ahead.
One thing that was weird was that I think in the previous issue, Wiggins tells Virginia that Argent isn't his boss, but that's clearly not the case.
Right.
And I think
that goes with the character that we know of Wiggins as this over bloated, like power hungry.
All right.
You think?
I don't know enough about Wiggins because I never read the Incubation Figures.
Yes. Well, I really like his arc, especially because of how much he kind of like chills at the end of
Yeah.
his arc. I love that shit at the end. So more on that when we get there.
I look forward to it.
Okay, so now they're taking her out. I love the panel 2 on 4, the color, the like shape of Wiggins. He's just like, I can't. Yeah, well, it's this Batman the Animated Series figure that I had, that he had this box of a cape that, because you would fold it out and it would come off as like this glider. Just makes me think of that every time. But, and it's interesting too between the Cox and the Vincent, because Tom Vincent colors them in like a, like a minty green kind of like shadow light thing, like
single color.
Exactly. And then Jeremy Cox does the full color breakdown. So that's
when
an
I see that
choice.
I mean, my point of reference on the fashion is just David Byrne. Like, that's all I can think of.
Uh-huh. And again, we say it every time, those fashion suits. And again, reading the interview, the Panders were doing fashion work, art, and posters and stuff like that before they got into this. And this is their first big comic work. So that's why we really see that big influence.
Totally 80s, baby.
This next page, just an amazing, this is a beautiful layout. This is 80s deco, like beautiful panels, man. I love this treatment.
Yeah. It's just like Argent is, I'm on top of it as much as I absolutely can. We'll follow up on all these clues. I'm calling the shots. I'm the immortal werewolf.
Yeah. And like, I think that there's always this thing behind him. Like everything I can do is hindered because of Grendel. Like I am stuck in this wheelchair, but like my drive to like figure these things out, like it must be really tough for him, especially because he can't do anything. He can't get out. It must be
really tough for him. Absolutely. You're right. Well, it's
like
funny,
he just can't get out of the fucking chair and he's so mad about it.
If it weren't for Grendel, though, he would just be terrorizing. He'd be eating, ripping jaywalkers' throats out.
Yes, he would.
So it's like this is also his purpose. They're linked. All the difference between Maslin, the wolf god who cursed him with undying aggression, and the spirit of Grendel, it's a very fine line between the two.
Right.
And one falls under the umbrella of the other, if they're even different things.
Right. And I'm almost surprised that Argent is not able to like hit up the astral plane or do some sort of meditation to be able to connect that way.
It is sort of suggested that he does have some kind of access to extrasensory abilities in the same way that Tujiro describes his own in this issue.
It feels like his connection is to his past and those that he's already come into contact with, and not so much as like an extrasensory perception in like a Professor Xavier type of way, despite the wheelchair.
Yeah, despite his wheelchair. Well, it's funny. It's almost too bad that those powers that like POV of his like mental experience that we get in Silverback isn't, that there isn't a little bit of that in here, because it would be, I'm sure he is haunted by Hunter.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe, oh man, gosh, what a cool scene that would be too, to see Maslin and the Hunter, or see like Maslin and the Grendel spirits in his mind, like coming to a head, like almost like rams, these two rams, like butting heads or something like that.
It's a very Luke, I am your father kind of
yeah, exactly.
twist.
Two sides of the same coin, like yin yang, like, but like an evil yin yang.
if they're even, so different. Okay, this is
we're good at this.
Aren't we though? You had mentioned this next scene being a little tricky for you.
Right.
This is we're watching Ginny get out of New York City.
And we're watching Ginny's actions, but reading the narration of
Christine.
Jesus, we're not good at this. God, of course, give us a. Anyway, like, because then it's even more confusing because, you know, in the Kimiko they switch colors, but they didn't stick to it. Like on the next page, Christine's narration is in yellow, so it's a bit confusing to the point where when I was reading it in the omnibus today, I was like, did they recolor this wrong? But it can't be. But it's like, but it's a bit confusing.
Well, I think one of the things is that it's not until the fourth panel or so that Christine names Virginia.
Right. So then you're like,
oh, where then it clicks together. One thing that I was interesting is that she, when Christine goes to the Hilton, she checks in under the name Smythe or Smithy. I'm not sure. And then, that's obviously some type of Wagnerian literary joke.
Right.
And I looked it up.
You didn't get it. Oh, you did.
I didn't get it until I looked it up. And it is a reference to a number of negative things, but mostly one who sells someone into sexual slavery.
Oh, geez.
Did not go any deeper on that, but that's what the internet told me. So
now I think here on page 6 in the bottom left of panel 1, there's this little cone-shaped character. In the Kimiko, he's white. He's got a triangle. I think that's an 80s comic book character. I remember pulling something out of the quarter bin that looked just like this guy, but maybe it's just he's in the bottom left. He's got kind of like a AIM agent shape and a triangle eye.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, if I can find that in the edit, I'll put that in here.
All right.
So here she is. Yep. She's getting ready. She's getting out of town.
She's going to place a phone call from a payphone in a McDonald's.
Right. Clearly a McDonald's. Panel 3, just another. I love the background and the normal people that the panders pop in here. Like this hamburger dude is hilarious. Okay. Oh my God. Who is this? There's a photo of someone.
Yeah. It's very like Church of the Subgenius kind of thing.
Oh my God. Who is that?
My reading on this and on all the other background, if everyone that populates the backgrounds in this book, they're either like high fashion, like avant-gardians,
right,
or just like horrid mutant people, and that's going to keep amping up. And my reading of this is that there's like a very like brutal dichotomy in society where you're either one of the beautiful, like powerful, successful, with it yuppie people, or you are one of these mutant people scarfing down burgers. And why wouldn't you deserve to be dominated by one of the alphas?
Right.
I think that's what's going on. I'm not sure.
Well, I think that is part of the downfall of society that we'll see more and more as these like dregs and eventually becomes like the vampires, and how there's really clearly two sets of classes in the world. And then it almost becomes that like Jetsons-y type feel where, and even Total Recall and Fifth Element, where, the ground level people, that's where the shitty life is. But then as you go, the 75th floor up there, that's where like the high society lives and stuff, up in the sky above the smog cloud or whatever.
Yeah, here's this like fashion couture, chic New York Times writer slumming it at a payphone at McDonald's.
Exactly.
I love it.
And so she gets Chris, and they're finally like talking, and she's like, "Dude, I'm coming. Like I'm on my way. Like it's happening. The police came again. Argent came. They hauled me out of bed." And she's like, "This is what you're talking about." She's like, "Oh, Argent, damn." Like, have you ever met him?
I've never seen him.
Yeah, it's crazy. But he's seen her since she was a child, I'm sure.
They get off the phone, and Ginny is being tailed by this guy who reminds me of one of the four devils, one hell of the gambler.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Grendel.
Yeah, the
He's
hair
got
and
flat brimmed hat and the bolo.
Bolo, yeah. He's following her, but he made sure to stop and get a Happy Meal first.
Yeah.
which is great. So he's following her. He figured it out. He called in to them. He gives what looks like a real New York phone number, and then he sits down to eat his hamburger. And he's like, "I did my shit."
Yeah, I was a little confused by the 212 number. Is that the number of the? Is that where he? Is that the McDonald's or? I was just a little confused. Or is that her pager number? I was just not with it on that.
Oh, maybe like, yeah. I'm thinking like maybe he had a little device where he figured out what number she called or something. So he's like, okay, she called this.
Right,
but 212 is New York.
She's in California, yeah. So who's to say? Anyway, this guy's tailing. So it doesn't
maybe
matter.
that's the number of this phone so that they can use their system to trace the call history of that phone number.
Oh, interesting. There you go.
There we go. All right. So then Chris is like, oh my God. Okay. She's finally coming, and like now we're in the end game. It begins. I'm about to find Tush. And right as she's thinking, like, here I am, I'm going to get the upper hand, Tujiro bamfs into her bed, to the foot of her bed. And he's what's up, bitch?
Yeah. And he reveals that he has a psychic bond. He's got the shining for her.
After
he licked her hand. Yeah.
Oh, disgusting. Doubly disgusting now, because now that he like has a taste for her, he can smell her anywhere.
This is just
disgusting.
Jeremy Cox just really has it out on this one.
Very cool.
We're both looking at the trades. Is there a weird color hold registration error in this last panel on these?
I actually have the floppies for this one.
Oh.
So where are you?
So there's these speed lines that are color holded
mm-hmm.
that burst around Tujiro in the third panel.
Mm-hmm.
And they're magenta. And in my trade, the magenta plate is misregistered, and this really crazy thing happens where there's magenta misregistration on the balloon borders and on the panel border.
Oh yeah, that happens in the floppies too.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Oh, I want to tell you, I just opened the book again. Oh, you know what? It's not nearly as bad as it is in the trade. In the floppy. Yeah, that was definitely an issue. Holy shit.
One thing that, Tom Vincent does in panel 2 is he's trying to put a very harsh light directly in front, like a glaring light on her. And it sort of works. It's not great, but Jeremy Cox really kind of helps model it out a little bit.
Yeah, that's something we've seen a few different times where we feel like it would be the opposite. Like it would be the light on the outside and the white in the end. But you know what? This one, it does work because that flash is his like bamf, his teleportation. And I say bamf because they say it's the stank of sulfur. And I feel like that's the smell of his bamfing, his teleportation.
I totally agree with you. I want to tell you that when I read this, I just assumed that he was sitting at the edge of her bed the whole time.
The whole time.
I didn't.
They clear later when he.
We knows he teleports. Yeah. When I reread, I accidentally skipped this next spread, but it's tremendous.
Oh, it's powerful. Yeah, I can't believe you missed it, dude.
Well, not just because of the bosoms, but just everything.
Well, because the face of Tujiro, and oh man, Jeremy Cox really, really does some amazing stuff in panel 4.
The gray.
Oh my god.
Of his skin.
Well, really the layouts, again, Panders, I love your fucking layouts, dude. They are so great. Like, man, I'm about to do some Pander layouts in this next monkey line if I can. Oh my god. Love it. Guys, you're the best.
I think my favorite part of the spread is when she throws the fork at him.
Someone's at the door, Benny.
Yeah, that's
everyone. Brought to you by Ring.
Yeah, that's my family. Enough about them.
Well, hold on. Let's keep on 10 here. Let's keep on page 10. Like,
I wanted to complain about Ring.
About what? About
Ring.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
So here on page 10, it's like they are like confronted, small space. Like here she is in her most vulnerable in bed, like seemingly naked, like facing her this most evilest of villains, the
the bitch.
The acumen of all your jeers. What does he even say there in Sergeant Pepper's? Acumen of all your jeers? What is that word? We'll never.
I don't know. Acumen is like the sum total, I think it means.
Oh, the acumen of all your. Okay. Yeah, so that's right. The acumen of all your jeers. Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Tushiro's lonely eyeball eating contest. Okay, continuing here on the page. He was like, she was stunned. Like, how is he here? Oh, the sun. Okay, scratch that. Vampire. This vampire is able to be in the sun. Now, it's kind of like he's more than a vampire. He's not like, it's kind of shown here that he's not like your normal like Dracula. He's a beast. He's a monster. He eats eyeballs for sustenance. And he would let her keep both of her lovely eyes and resist eating the one. And she's like, you fucking son of a bitch. Next page, like, or did you have anything else on that page?
No, because I didn't.
Oh, you skipped.
Read this spread. I was just like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
I really enjoy. I mean, I can tell. I can look at the pictures and tell you what's going on.
Right.
I like the flare off of the fork.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really cool page break. I mean,
awesome.
What I like about this is on 11 is that there's a lot of things breaking. Every panel, something breaks.
Right.
Because we're all right angles on the panels themselves.
Right. And it's such there's such furious movement. And again, like how we say, they're not just breaking the panels to look cool. They're breaking the panels to serve the flow and the furiousness of the story. And so she sleeps with that fucking fork and she is so pissed. And I think this shows that there's like a like it extends and distends because I mean, it's obviously shortened right there.
It's knife sized. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she like flings it out and shugs it. And she's like, bastard. And he just bamfs right out. And she's like, I shook like a burn victim for like an hour. I shook like a fever victim for an hour. She's just like, she's in her bed. Like, this acting is so great too. And the color holds Vincent versus Cox is like, oh my gosh, so much like, oh my God. Great,
that second to last panel, it looks great in both versions.
Really does.
The effect that Tom Vincent gets on the smoke that we've talked about a number of times, that's sort of, we got to figure out how he did that.
Yeah.
It gets replaced with an airbrush that looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very ethereal.
Very.
Yeah, but the color holds look good across the board on both.
Man, just really, and the acting and
yeah, she's finally going crazy.
Right. This is another step on that diving board into the pool of insanity that she's going.
Because it's like, if he can teleport, like what am I gonna do?
Right. I've got like he could just be out and like, can he just bamf right behind her and turning the page, boy, oh boy, do we get an amazing ad. Absolutely colored by Matt. This Mage Graffiti shirt ad. God, that's great, man.
I had that one, the white one.
Mm-hmm.
I got it off eBay really cheap. This is 10 years ago. I was really excited. And it came and it was just so disgusting and secondhand that I didn't even keep it. It was
they reprinted it on a black t-shirt at Graffiti. They may even still have it there now, but I got one a little bit later.
You're right, actually.
Yeah.
All right.
Very cool. Just great airbrushing by Matt. I love this ad. But hey, don't turn the page so fast. Where do you think you're going? Come back here. Just because this page isn't filled with wired and colorful graphics, there's a subscribe to Kamiko form. Man, I would have loved to subscribe to Grendel and just have it delivered, man. That's amazing. All right, so on the next page, Ginny is digging through her closet for a disguise, of which she seems to have many, throwing out the Groucho Marx eyes and the hockey jersey and the on the bed. She's got the jewelry, and we see here that she's continuing to be tailed.
Yeah,
they're looking up.
These slimy cops. Is there nothing they won't do? She comes out in the craziest outfit she can possibly
love
put together.
it. Love this. Amazing outfit. Tom Vincent, you got the edge, bud.
Burning Man.
Yeah, it does look like she's like a super neo hippie. She's got two different earrings. She's got an amazing, like almost dashiki. She's got a yin yang necklace. She's got a different color hair put up, and great.
Tom Vincent does a like a gray, monochrome.
Right in the binocs
for the binoc vision.
Yeah,
and Jeremy Cox puts a little bit of airbrush on the folds of her like dashiki. And it really, in the last panel, it really has some nice volume thanks to the airbrush.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. Now it's funny; these cops are like, "Jesus, get a load of this crazy one." She's like, "Nice hairdo," and I can't tell. I guess he's going like, remember that was like a big thing in the '80s. People were always like, like that was something you did to show like you didn't like something,
Right. I think
like,
Matt has interpreted it as a lascivious compliment.
He's like,
it's just there's just like the acting in the script is not quite matching up for me.
Well, these cops are obviously like dirt balls.
Yeah.
There's actually some interesting coloration in her arm by Tom Vincent in the floppy here. There's like, it's like the brownish, but then there's these little like hits of red, like her thumb and forefinger and her arm.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Yeah, there's some on her face too. It's that analog airbrush. I swear every week I talk about resolving that.
I just noticed this funny sign here too, elbow piercing.
That's the future, baby. There's no rules.
No rules. Everything's pierced.
Pierce the weenus.
So she's on her way to Kennedy Airport.
You like her earring? This like
I love
Keith Haring freak out thing?
It almost looks like drywall from Scud.
Yes, thank you. I knew you would know what it's supposed to look like.
So we are on our way. She's at Kennedy Airport now. Karen gives her ticket.
Wait. Let's talk about this first panel.
Okay. All right.
What the fuck is going on?
Right. Again, they must have gotten rid of a lot of queens? Is that where?
You know what this reminds me of? You ever seen the Robin Williams movie Toys?
Yeah.
Where they just like live in this like world of green fields and there's nothing there. That's what it seems like.
Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah, anyway, Karen gives her
ticket.
I didn't see it was Karen.
She's boarding through what looks like she's out on the tarmac. We got some robo guys telling her where to go.
Straight up sci-fi airport.
Yep. And she's like, okay, I got to change out of this insane outfit. And
it's like what's the jet called? Like a Gulfstream, something like that. It's like,
oh yeah, it looks like, oh yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Like a crazy future.
Yeah, like jet. a stealth bomber almost, like the Blackbird.
This occupied panel is something else.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the hell?
At first I was like, she went to try to hit the bathroom and it was occupied. Not that she occupied it.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't notice this. On the next page, here we are on page 15. She changed and she's walking back down the aisle. The guy on the right is puking. He's sick. The guy on the left is reading Time magazine with Grendel on the cover. He's back.
Oh, I did not see that because it's in the fold of the
of the trade.
It's too close to the fold of the trade. Yeah,
wow. He's in the gutters.
But I did notice the back cover. Smoke it, baby.
Yeah, that's great.
The cigarette. Yeah.
So she ordered a martini and she's sitting back prepping for a cross-country flight.
This Time magazine cover, I wish there was more of this in this story. Yeah. I wish that instead what we get is like kind of a running gag about Donahue for a few issues. Right. So it's not quite enough in there to keep me as engaged as I want to be. Yeah, sure. Great.
Well, no, it's
great. Nice screen tone. I like the zipatone on Ginny's face.
Oh, I got distracted because a new photo of your baby was posted to the cloud. Someone get Walgreens Prince agents. That's great.
Yeah, once her cradle cap goes away, we're gonna get her an agent. Here's a good one.
Hey, look at that. Hey. You guys, she's got.
I'm not supposed to share that. Yeah, what a cute baby. Great.
All right, so we're back here in San Fran. We're here at Brian Lee Sung's apartment. He's coming home.
Oh, look at the sky. God damn, Jeremy Cox.
Oh shit.
That is some rich tone.
Completely changes the time
Yeah.
of day from Kamiko to Dark Horse. Yeah.
Tom Vincent does a great job too with the blue fade up, but this is like
Yeah, that's
really
much cooler.
Really cool.
So Brian's on his way home, and she's kind of reflecting like, I'm here and like I need to help him because now they've made it clear that they're coming for him. Argent had said, or sorry, Tujiro said before, like, we're coming for your little friend. We're coming from your dude, and that was in the spread that you skipped. So he comes in. Sorry, he comes in to what seems like this completely empty room, large, vast, empty room, and here we got hulking Christine. Like, Brian, listen, like the shit has hit the fan, and I need you to listen. I'm about to tell you everything. Okay. Yeah. I never intended for you to get wrapped up in this. It's going crazy.
This is a conversation scene that goes on for 5 to 8 pages, and it's just like there's a lot in this scene. You know, that's sort of, she tried to have this conversation with him backstage, I think in the last issue,
right,
and he wasn't having it, so she just straight breaks into his house and
and she's like, listen, and about halfway he kind of gets into it. Okay. So like on the next page, she's continuing like, please, like, just listen. And he's like, no, dude, like, of course, like, can't you do this out of the costume? Can't you not be a Grandoline? And she's like, no, dude, this is like, nope. And he hits the lights and she's like, no. I got to find a way to turn those lights off. Just tell him, turn the lights off, dude. Like, this is important. We don't want them to know we're here. You just like alerted them. The TV bot in the back is like, do you care to watch any TV, Mr. Brian?
Oh, there's the TV bot.
But then again, like now he only took one step in the room to where in panel 4 on the last page is this vast empty room. And now here on panel 3 on page 17, the room is filled. Now, I don't know if that was a choice to make it seem a super ominous entrance, but
it might be young men trying to meet a deadline.
Yeah, that's your excuse for everything, Ben.
I mean, that's what one thing. The one thing that I love about this scene is the treatment of the Venetian blinds is one of my favorite things.
Very cool.
Yeah, they're really cool. I was saying earlier that like when you've got these conversations, and the layouts are like doing this like manga diagonal line thing, it's a little. It doesn't work as well for me as if you just like lay into the grid so that you can just focus on like the acting and the dialogue and stuff like that.
Right. There's a lot being laid out that if they did like a 6-panel grid, it might be like, oof, you feel bogged down by it.
There's a lot of like tell instead of show, but she's just telling him stuff that we already know, to the point where like when she convinces him, she turns on the tape recorder and we hear a conversation that we've already seen play out. Right. And we see him react to it. But he gets the idea finally.
We do turn the page, and in the Kamiko, we get the Kamiko blimp. And we get a Colorfully Yours, Jerry Giovinco. And we get a nice spread of some of the upcoming Kamiko books. So yeah, here we are, page 18.
Oh God, I just talked about page 18.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Well, okay, yeah. So I mean, again, it just continues. Like,
oh, you want to say something really nice?
Yeah.
Page 19, second to last panel. Bellissima.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, very nice. Sorry, you say what you need to say.
Well, I'm just saying on 18 is where she drops that like he's a vampire, and he's like vampire. Listen, like, are you serious, Chris? This can't be real. And then that's when we get to 19, and she busts out this the tape recorder.
This scene
and plays the scene for him from the previous issue where she was like stuck in the dressing room.
I'm trying to be polite. I find this scene to be a slog for the first 4 pages.
Right. It's a bit of a slog, but it's like it's information that she needs to get to him. And then
I guess so.
It is. And then but then she's even like, you want to hear more tape? I got more tape. On page 20, they're like, they already blew it once. They tried to get you, and that was the roof thing that you saw. Yeah. And like, and Brian's like, why me? Why your son? And he's like, it doesn't matter. Like, he's bloodthirsty, but now like you fit the description that they need. You know, they're not discouraged, and it's like gonna happen tonight, and that's why I'm here. Next page, continuing. They're waiting. They haven't spoken in like an hour.
This is my favorite page.
Yeah, this is
where I'm finally like, oh man, this is, you know, this second panel, especially, like the reputation that this book has is earned many times over by the second panel for me.
Yeah, I think
despite all the horrible things I just said.
Wow, the perspective on the blinds too in the first panel, you know.
Yeah,
and he's
the blind work is all very good.
Yeah, so she's like, all right, look, man, we haven't talked for an hour. You want more? Like, they mean to acquire you, like to trade. So like, she just plays more. She clicks it on. She plays more. White pig. He licks the master's ass.
Wait,
it's funny that they decided to like say that. I guess they're talking about the what's his name, mop top or brush top.
Niccolo.
Right. He's like just continues to listen. Business is thriving. Combination of bribery, political pull, and the magic of their master made this all possible. And she's like, it's almost 10 of. All right.
Yeah.
Next page now.
Wait, look at the extra layout element, the ticking clock.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was like, what is that?
That's super cool, right?
Good call, yeah.
Yeah, it's like this extra gutter thing because it might be the second hand is just above him looking at his watch. So it gives you, it breaks it up. I really want to lay in heavy compliments on that element because it's gutters, but it's like extra gutters.
That's
so
incredibly creative.
Yeah.
Man.
What a completely innovative device.
Very, very well done. And then on the next page, Christine has fully changed into her Grendel gear. She puts her helmet on, and she's like, but you know, she is like, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. You know, she's like rocking in her head. She's like putting all her shit together, and she's like, finally tonight, here we go. And he's like, Jesus Christ, Chris, you insist on wearing that thing? She's like, I'm afraid so, BLS. Let's do this. Tujiro, he kissed, and he's like, I'm hoping, oh my God, yeah, this is crazy. She's like, I'm hoping he can't taste me like this. And Brian's like,
super weird. like that was the line that sort of reminded me of when you were talking about like, does Argent have
preternatural,
a psychic, a psychic link or whatever. I really want to compliment both colorists on the last panel. The Tom Vincent does this like orange to red gradient somehow in some method that I can't explain.
Right.
And it just all looks really good here. Everything's coming together.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so they're like, she's like, I want him here alone. Next page, they're like, but why not? Why not take him to the theater, like out in the open? Like, why not? You know, I've rigged his trailers to explode tonight at midnight. We saw that a few issues ago. He's like, explode? That'll kill my theater. And then, you know, we don't even get to do anything like that. And that's when crash, Tujiro busts the hell in, sending them both flying. Man, next page, he's like, he probably does like a roll, jumps up. Oh yeah, he rolled like a cat, grinning like a skull, laughing, and he's ready. And Brownlee Song's like, oh shit. And that's when Christine's like, shaking, and she's like ready. And this panel 3, amazing. So cool.
Yeah, all of this stuff with the broken Venetian blinds are so cool because we've had like 5 pages of just like these parallel lines are in perspective, and then he busts through and they're all like dented and janky.
Sick. He snarled, he waved, and then the front door busts the hell open. It had been locked, but boom, here's Nicolo looking like, damn. It's like he thought he looked bad. Like, oh, he looks bad. Hell yeah, he looks bad.
He looks like Elvis Costello in a Mad Max film.
Yeah, yes, it does, man.
So weird.
Oh man, it's so, you know, retro 80s futurism. Like, oh my God.
I like, look at his, like he's got the button fly pants.
Yeah, he does. Oh my God, he's ready. And the bolo. And then and then he's like, I moved out in front of Brian, raised my blade and waited. Step on up. And she is like ready. There's like this like crescent on the blade to kind of show that she's like getting it ready, like batter up, you know, kind of like how the batter like does his shit.
Sure.
And oh my God, we are posed for some major action.
Yeah, man. Jeremy Cox did a great job on this last splash. Looking,
Oh yeah, dude.
looking super cool. And it's amazing. Not to bury the lead on next week, but I think next week is the first issue inked by the Panders, and it is quite the treat.
Beautiful.
What's going on in the letters column?
We actually get a letter from Jamie S. Rich from Quartz Hill,
there you go.
California. Yeah, who
There you
goes
go.
on to work with Matt and work with Diana, and has one of my favorite Matt interviews on YouTube from his show Between the Gutters, where they're cooking. First part's they're cooking, and the second part they're in the that'll be in the closing screen. I'll put that in the end, but pretty cool. In the Dark Horse, there's a really cool spread. There's a thing about this crazy cruise that the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund sponsored, a benefit cruise to Mexico. We held the Aloha party at WonderCon in Oakland, then flew to LA on April 16th, where we boarded the Elation for 7 days of fun in the sun. And then there's all these pictures from Diana. Like there's this one beautiful photo of Frank Miller nerding out with Will Eisner.
Oh yeah.
And then we got Shrek, and we got Matt and his wife. We got Diana and Dennis Kitchen, Frank Miller, Jeff Smith, Gary Groth. Just a really cool spread. Jaime
Jaime is
at the bottom.
Frank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So is this a complimentary cruise, or is this a cruise with like a bunch of fans pony up, and then
It does seem like
and then
that,
all
yeah.
these guys are
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, I don't know if it's like they're using the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund raised money to fund this thing, but I'm not real sure. It does. She did say complimentary cruise. Diana did say a sponsored
right.
benefit cruise. So
Right,
maybe it's
right.
like the Star Trek cruise where, you know, they bring the Star Trek cast on, but everyone pays to get on there to spend the time with like these comic creators or to spend the time with the Star Trek cast.
Oh, can you imagine?
I would love that. It's like Jam Cruise.
You would love it.
Oh my God. Actually, I think it would kind of be a little creepy to be trapped on
It
there.
would be oh man, it's like a horror movie. It's like
it's
it must
one
be
thing
great.
where it's like Jam Cruise. I think they like fly in the people to the different like
Yeah, but everyone's
ports.
high, so it's chill, the whole
Right,
time.
yeah.
So
Yeah, so that's fun. We got a Dark Horse Maverick ad, and that's, I mean, another great ish. Great time. And man, like everything's building to a head. And like, boy, are we right at the neck of that head that's being built to, man.
we're at the neck of the head.
The neck of the head.
Yeah,
NECA.
man, the Pander inked issue next week is going to be bonkers.
Oh, yeah. So that's issue 7. We're coming up. Got it right
That'll be
here.
our 50th issue, Eli.
That'll be our 50th episode, man. I'm
That's
psyched.
that's almost 1 year of weekly Gwendolyn.
Good stuff. Here we go. Big 50th issue.
Hologram cover, baby.
Woohoo! And with that, I say Vivat Grendel and keep on Grenolin.
KOG.
KOG.